Welcome to Shadowed Echoes, where art, mysteries, and legends come alive in every shadow and every whisper of the past. If you love history that chills, mysteries that inspire, and legends that linger, subscribe. And step into the echo with us. What secrets will we find together?
Beneath the quiet rising of the morning sun, a cathedral pierces the mist. Its outline sharp as memory, its shadows deep as legend. Look closer. Its bones are not simply stone, but story. Every arch and grotesque, every shivering stained glass clue speaks to a past concealed beneath centuries of rumor and awe. For centuries, these stones have whispered of hidden hands, of secret societies, mysterious marks carved in midnight, cryptic codes that so many long to unravel. Who truly built these marvels of the Middle Ages, and what mysteries did they encode into the very infrastructure of Western civilization? Tonight, we cross the threshold of history. We will peer into churches and castles, guild halls and cloisters. We will decipher true codes, cast aside myth, and discover the shining heart behind Europe's most beguiling architectural puzzle, secret societies, and the hidden symbols they left behind. To understand the secrets of stone, we must first meet the hands that shaped it. Medieval Europe was a world not of lone architects, but of brotherhoods, bustling communities of craftsmen, master masons, journeymen stonecutters, sculptors, and ingenious laborers unified in guilds and lodges. Picture Paris in the late 1100s. On the banks of the Seine, locals marvel at rising spires. Who are these men scaling timber scaffolds? They are the elite, members of the compagnonnage sworn by their honor, and their knowledge is priceless. Years of apprenticeship, often a lifetime spent as a wandering journeyman, learning secret geometries from Spain to Prague, from York to Cologne. These societies controlled initiation, trained only the worthy, and held their collective expertise as a kind of living treasure, not as a conspiracy, but as insurance against exploitation by greedy patrons or kings. Inside the guild halls, away from prying eyes, apprentices learned not just to shape stone, but to speak in symbols. And as the stones went up, so did the rumors. The cathedral became a kind of mountain, holy, forbidding, enigmatic, and the masons, its devoted priesthood. Yet while some secrets are best left unsaid, others are inscribed for all to see. Scattered across every Gothic giant are strange marks, simple at first glance, but persistent across continents and centuries. The so-called Mason's marks, a triangle with a notch, a double S, a looping snake, a forked trident, a stylized star. To the uninitiated, these must seem like the code of a hidden faith, a clandestine society leaving keys for future ages to decrypt. Legendaries and novelists, centuries hence, would spin their webs around these innocent scratches. But in truth, the origin is more practical than mystical. Each Mason, upon finishing his training, registered his personal mark with the guild, a unique badge, a sign of identity, not unlike a crest or signature. As stones were laid, the master tallied these marks, assigning wages or accounting for errors. The system, simple yet elegant, was the lifeblood of the medieval project. But even the mundane has a way of becoming the marvelous. Passed down through generations, a mark might gain prestige, changing ever so slightly from father to son, subtly but indelibly, a secret code not of conspiracy, but of lineage and pride. And as years turned to centuries, The marks left by real, earnest hands invited new interpretations: geometric, symbolic, romantic. If the Mason's mark declared, "I was here," geometry declared, "God was here." To the eyes of the Middle Ages, mathematics was no cold science. It was alchemy, a transfusion of heaven into earth. Examine the walls of Chartres or York, and you'll see them. Shapes within shapes. The Vesica Piscis, two intersecting circles, blossoms again and again. For the Christian, it is Mary, portal to the divine. For the craftsman, it is the key to perfect arches, flawless symmetry, the unseen grid beneath the chaos. Every rose window is a cosmos spun from sacred ratios. The pentagram, far from sinister, echoes the wounds of Christ. The trefoil mirrors the Holy Trinity. The quatrefoil, the balance of earthly and heavenly worlds. These are not random flourishes. They are the grammar of faith and the architecture of belief. A church is scripture in stone, sacred geometry made solid, mathematics drafted in the shadow of eternity. But what of the secret societies whose names still thrill believers and doubters alike? The word Freemason conjures phantoms, clandestine gatherings, whispered oaths, and cosmic schemes. Were these brotherhoods the shadowy masterminds hiding riddles in every cathedral pillar? The reality is subtler, but no less fascinating. In the Middle Ages, to be a Freemason was to be a free agent, not bound to a single lord but permitted to roam where needed. The secrets they guarded were technical, even mathematical, designs, formulas, the ratios that created durable vaults. Yes, initiations and secret passwords existed, but always in service to trust, craft, and mutual protection. It was only centuries later, when operative masonry faded and symbolic, speculative masonry arose, that the square and compass and the all-seeing eye began to absorb wilder meanings. Before the 1600s, these symbols are rare. Afterward, they become ubiquitous, adopted by philosophers, revolutionaries, visionaries, and, inevitably, the architects of legend and rumor. The most alluring symbols may not rest quietly in geometry, but crouch at the very edges of the roofline. The gargoyle, a monster by moonlight, a fountain by day. Chimeras, nuzzled between spires, half beast, half warning. The green man, foliage curling from his lips, eyes smoldering with the promise of rebirth. What are these creatures? To some, they mark a residue of pagan memory, a stubborn wildness that clings to even the holiest places. But for their creators, the symbolism is layered. Gargoyles were guardians, warding off demons, channeling rain and chaos away from the sacred. The green man, jubilant myth, surviving as a wink to Earth's cycles, stitched into Christian renewal, proof that old gods fade but never disappear entirely. These carvings demand interpretation, not as secrets of sinister societies, but as invitations to wonder. What were our ancestors afraid of? What did they hope to protect? And what, if anything, lurks beyond the stone? Of all organizations to emerge from the medieval twilight, none is more magnetized by rumor than the Knights Templar. Cloaked in white, red cross blazing, the Templars were at once bankers, warriors, and legends in their own lifetimes. Their symbols, the red cross, clear, bold, unmistakable, the strange seal of two knights on one horse, were first and foremost badges of faith and unity, not cryptic signatures for future cults. Myths swirl around their chapels, cryptic crosses carved into stone, labyrinthine cellars, and geometric floor designs conceived as cosmic maps. Yet the historical record, sober and stubborn, finds no credible evidence of secret Templar codes embedded in medieval architecture. The Templar motifs we know were worn openly, not shrouded in ambiguity. Even so, the world's hunger for mystery persists, and so every Templar church, each time-worn Maltese cross, becomes a cipher, inviting new stories at the edge of fact and fiction. Not all symbols were signals for secret brotherhoods. Some carried the weight of scientific curiosity in an age when astronomy, astrology, and alchemy blurred seamlessly together. On the walls of Chartres and Amiens are carved the signs of the Zodiac, not for horoscopes, but as markers of cosmic order, calendars, to guide the sacred year. Elsewhere, a flask, a crucible, the winding serpent, old signs of the healer and the alchemist, marking the eternal search for transformation. In medieval Prague, Florence, or Oxford, a careful eye finds serpents and planetary diagrams above doors. For those trained in such arts, a building became a page in a vast, silent encyclopedia. And sometimes, in a world where certain forbidden arts were practiced in secret, symbols did serve as code, not to threaten church or crown, but to slip forbidden knowledge past suspicion, to protect the learned from the fearful. A language hidden in plain sight. But most symbols are neither heresy nor code. They are sermons etched for a people who could not read but who could understand. On pillar and portal, the 7 virtues and vices, each with symbolic animals and plants, humility as the lamb, wrath as the wolf, a pelican feeding her own blood to her chicks, the love and sacrifice of Christ, a lamb cradling a cross, innocence and redemption. The cathedral is a book cast in stone. Its chapters are not only gospels, but stories of local trade, of seasonal harvest, of ordinary and immortal alike. A community's deepest beliefs and fears. Their lessons for the illiterate, messages more clear than coded. In an age where real secrets faded, the need for new ones grew. The age of enlightenment brought a hunger, secret lodges, literary societies, and mystic circles multiplied, weaving their own symbolic languages. By the 1800s, the Gothic revival and Romanticism drenched old ruins with new mythology. Authors and dreamers projected forbidden codes onto every blank surface. By the time Dan Brown made cathedrals thrilling once more, the hunger for symbols in stone had become a modern folk tradition, one as potent in shaping memory as any real society. Thus are new mysteries born. A mason's triangle becomes a gateway to the spirit world. A faded green man, the echo of druidic wisdom. Even the most pragmatic marks are summoned into a drama of puzzle and revelation. Let's walk the gallery of stone, carved into the floor of Chartres, a pilgrimage in miniature, every twist a turn of the soul's journey. Defender and king, the primeval Christ, standing guard at holy doors. Painted above arches, gesture of creation, benediction or judgment. Badge of the pilgrim, scalloped curves tracing the path to Santiago or Rome. Spinning from the center, mystery and beauty, the Virgin Mary, the perfection of God's plan. Rare but haunting, a serpent devouring its tail, the endless renewal of time. Each mark, a lesson. Each lesson, a window onto worlds both visible and veiled. And so, beneath all the coded speculation and conspiracy, the most profound secret lingers in every block and tracery, the genius of human hands, and the persistence of our longing to remember, to endure, to be understood. Beneath the geometry and legends lies hope. Architects and masons striving to touch eternity. Their faith in the numbers, their patience with the chisel, their brotherhood and ambition. These are the real codes passed down through ages. Look up again at the stones. Not cold puzzles, but warm, earnest attempts to translate heaven into earth, to anchor the invisible with the weight of granite, to leave a mark that might one day be read and remembered. In the end, every cathedral, every chapel, every weathered wall is more than a riddle. It is a message. From the past to the future, a voice echoing under arches, across centuries, in the silent language of stone and symbol. What stories do you see in your own city? What marks wait to be read just beneath the surface? Share your discoveries and let these mysteries bind us as they bound our ancestors. A community of curiosity, imagination, and wonder. Like, subscribe, and join us again as we unlock more secrets of history beneath the stones.